want to take a moment to thank everybody for coming out this evening. My name is Christopher Rube. I am the Executive Director of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency that has been working on the Styx Promenade project now for several years, thanks to the good work of the CRA staff and the board. So if we could, I just want to take a quick moment to introduce a few people that are with the CRA. Gina Baker, if you could come around. Gina Baker, who I will introduce in a moment. She is the lead project manager for the Styx. We've got Disa Campbell. She's our fiscal manager. Disa's in the back. And she's helps with making sure that we are fiscally sound on a daily basis. We have Dr. Alicia Nguyen talking to Bruce Lewis. She is a consultant for the CRA and helps us with a lot of our efforts relating to making sure that we're sensitive to the culture in the neighborhood. And then she's not in the room because she's out front manning the desk, is Richelyn Miller, who helped put this wonderful event on with us tonight. In addition to the CRA cannot do this alone, I want to thank Frank Hayden and his team, Sandy Hammerstein. Thank you so much. You'll hear from Frank a little bit later on this project. Frank, and then Alejandro. I know I saw him here earlier. Is he out there? Yes. Okay, Alejandro, thanks. So great team with the Frank's group helping us out this evening. He's the director and the Office of Small and Minority Business Programs. So we're really doing a very intentional project with the Styx Promenade to really target and assist small and minority businesses, predominantly Black and minority-owned businesses, with this project. So before I introduce Gina Baker, we did provide some light refreshments over in the room next to us. Please feel free to help yourself. And once we wrap up the program, you will have a lot of time to meet with all of the resource partners, which we'll introduce here in a moment. They are all here essentially to provide assistance to help with the information that is needed for the intent to negotiate. So we have put out this intent to negotiate, which is, the jargon is the INT, and that is a formal process that is run by the City Department's Procurement Department. Paul Basser, Paul, where are you at?
Paul.
He just stepped out, but you'll hear from him in a second as well. That is the formal process that you will need to submit your proposal for the 4 properties that are included in the Styx Promenade. So, and in that INT, there is quite a bit of information that we will need in order to do that formal consideration of your project. So we'll get into a little bit more detail on that here in a moment. But first, let's start with a baseline and understanding exactly what the Styx Promenade project is, what we're trying to achieve with this project, where it's located, and all of the details. So to give you all of that information, I'd like to turn it over to Gina Baker. Don't worry if you don't get it all in this presentation. We will be on hand to talk more in detail, so don't panic if you don't, or if you have questions or anything like that. The intent of all of this presentation is really to give you as much information and background on whatever it is that you need to submit a productive and serious proposal for this project. So, Gina Baker, thanks so much.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let me see if I can operate the technology here. Well, why don't I see my mouse?
Just click.
Okay, good. So my name is Gina Baker. I'm the project manager for the Historic Northwest. The Styx is very near and dear to me. This project came to fruition, I'm going to say about 5 or 6 years ago. I am very excited to see that it is coming out of the ground, and we're about to hopefully have some very worthy business owners operating businesses out of these units. So what is the Styx? The Styx project is located along 7th Street between Rosemary Avenue and Sapodilla in the Historic Northwest District, and it includes a redevelopment of several buildings which are reminiscent to the old shotgun-style structures. There are many of those represented throughout the neighborhood, most of which are all residential. These buildings are not going to be used for residential. They are intended to be used as businesses. The CRA is currently marketing the project to attract businesses in the following industries: personal services, that is hair, nails, feet, etc., barbershops, beauty salons, retail type businesses, as well as food and beverage, and all of which is intended to sort of supplement and support the Sunset Lounge when it actually opens up and gets functioning. Interested business owners will need to submit a proposal to lease to own or purchase the Styx property, and you can talk to me after this at our table, and many of our resource folks about how to get involved in the process. Oh, I don't know how number it is. All right. So, the property itself, there are 4 available properties with 2 buildings per property. Each building is approximately 600 square feet. The purchaser or leasee, and we hope it's a purchaser, is expected to occupy at least one of the buildings per lot. Each property is priced at $315,000. However, our agency does have a number of available incentives to lower that price, and that would be all subject to the particular need once the proposer is actually brought to the table to negotiate. It's an excellent location. For those of you who know where 7th Street is and where the Sunset is, you simply need to step out to the corner of 7th or 8th Street and look to the right, and you see City Place, not far from there. And it's right across the street from the beautiful historic Sunset Lounge, as well as the historic Northwest Park. So with that, I think that's it for me.
Any questions for Gina Baker about the project itself? Again, if you don't have them right now, that's okay. Gina will be on hand and we can talk more one-on-one, but just wanted to give that opportunity real quickly. Any questions? Okay, great. Okay, next up, to give you a little bit of background about the submittal process, Paul Vassar. Come on up. So the procurement process can be a bit unique. So Paul will tell you about sort of the moving parts as it relates to submitting a formal proposal. Paul.
So good evening. Paul Vassar, the procurement official for the city, going on 3 months. Great to see everybody here this evening. So very briefly, and again, just please keep in mind, we got a lot of information to go over, but I will be available afterwards if anybody will want to speak with me directly. I will be here once my presentation is done. So don't feel that you have to get all the information up front as I'm speaking. So again, I'm with the procurement division. Basically, we have the responsibility for purchasing all supplies, materials, equipment, and services required by the city, departments, and entities. My primary purpose is to ensure that the solicitation process for this effort is transparent. And just a off-key note, just a show of hands, has anybody submitted a proposal before? Okay, one person? Okay, thank you. So, what is an ITN, an invitation to negotiate? Basically, this is just a soliciting method, it's a procurement method to accept proposed offers to negotiate for the purchase, lease, or sale of the multiple CRA-owned properties. The goal of the CRA encourages creative and innovative proposals for the highest and best use of these properties by small business and to support continued economic development of the area. Just want to bring your attention to the ITN, this document that has a sale, lease of real property for small businesses. Does everybody have a copy of this? right? Because this is the most important document. This is the document that lays out exactly what it is that we will be expecting to receive and what you will need to provide to us in order for us to evaluate your proposals once submitted. I would like to also just point out, if you look at the document, it has the second paragraph, it states that the proposals are received on Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. That's actually going to be changed, and the updated copy of this ITM will reflect a new date, but to let you know now, the new date will be Thursday, March 24th, will be the date that the proposals are due to the city. Right, these are the pages. This is a 21-page document. A lot of it is what we call like boilerplate information, but the critical information, the whole document is critical. But what's important for the businesses who are wanting to submit a proposal, these pages kind of spell out what it is that you should be looking at and reviewing and preparing to submit. Page 11, the evaluation criteria. Again, if you go to page 11, it kind of shows what the evaluation criteria are and what the factors for each criteria will be. Right, so again, it's just important to review this information, and as you're putting a proposal together, that you cover this information in your proposals. So on page 12 and 13, you can see we kind of lay out the tabs that will be submitted and what should be in each tab. So again, just follow the instructions that are on the ITM. It's kind of a roadmap pointing out what exactly you need to provide, and it will also detail what the city will be looking at and how we will evaluate the proposals. Again, just kind of a highlight of the evaluation criteria, the categories, and the factors within the categories. So again, just carefully examine the ITM, to carefully examine the requirements and to completely familiarize yourself with all the terms and conditions that are contained within this ITM. The importance lies with the proposer to ensure the obligations and responsibilities are met with this ITM. This ITM constitutes the complete set of requirements and forms, and it's the responsibility of the proposer to ensure that all pages and addendums are included. And all proposers are advised to closely examine the package and the proposals prior to submittal. I mean, it's just, again, you can never have enough quality checks to make sure you got the right information. So as you fill out your proposal, use kind of a checklist that, okay, I covered tab A, I covered tab B, and you may have to go over it a few times to ensure that you're providing the documents that we're asking for. So the evaluation of the award. So once the city receives the proposals, we'll go through the evaluation process. Right, the evaluation process is the CRA's attention to select a proposer to purchase each of the 4 properties. The CRA may assemble a selection committee to evaluate the proposals, offer, or submit. The selection committee will convene for a public meeting. And again, this will be a public meeting to rank the most advantageous proposal meeting that meets the needs of the CRA. And myself, once this process is done, I will notify everyone who submitted a proposal and kind of let them know for the meeting, since it will be a public notice meeting, everybody will be informed by the procurement department of the meeting. And once the kind of final selection is made, everybody will also be notified as the results. So this kind of just goes into the selection process. Once a decision is made as far as the best proposer that offers the overall best value to the city. Okay, so that's basically the evaluation piece. Just would like to remind everybody that the cone of silence, meaning this effort outside of this meeting, once we leave this evening, cannot be discussed unless it's with somebody within the procurement office. And I would just advise that in the ITN, the procurement specialist who is going to oversee this effort is Ms. Josephine Roche. I'm sorry, let me back up. This is actually the submittal deadline and location. Again, that date's going to be March 24th. This is on a Thursday. Again, make sure proposal package is received and timestamped by the procurement staff already for the submittal deadline. Here's the requirements. Again, all this is in the ITN. We're required to have one original plus 6 copies, have one electronic copy, and on the envelope or box, it must be identified as the ITN number and attention for Joseph Gross Procurement Division. And here's the contact information. So Josephine, this is her direct line, this is her email address. Here's my contact information, direct line, email address, and as well, I would just like to give everybody here my cell phone number. Just in case you can't get a hold of me on my direct line, which is 301-906-4630. And this is the procurement main line. Okay, so here today, Chris, I don't know if you want to introduce the... Okay, so that concludes the procurement piece. Is there any questions about the ITN process? Yes.
The deadline to have your application and all your documents in is the 24th of March. Can you give me some idea as to when the committee would get together to review and when they're expecting to have an answer?
Good question. So typically, when a bid closes or ITN closes, there's like an initial assessment that's done by the procurement staff to ensure the minimum requirements are met. And then we will begin to designate the evaluation team that's going to be evaluating. So as far as a timeline, because this is a high priority for a city, we'll probably look at the evaluation process within 2 weeks of the bid closing. Yes, ma'am.
Could you clarify or explain the code of silence of, who can speak with whom in that time frame?
Sure, so the code of silence, and this is the verbatim language. So this is actually the language that is in our procurement code. where I contact our proposer or anybody representing the proposer regarding this ITM with the mayor or city commissioner, officer, any CRA board member, any staff of redevelopment management associates, RMA or city employee other than employee of the West Palm Procurement Division. Can't happen, right? The only conversations that we can have is with the procurement services. Yes, sir.
Your presentation says that the CRA is not obligated to accept the selection committee's recommendation. Can you explain specifically the conditions under which the CRA would not accept the conditions of the selection committee?
Where's the?
The document says that the CRA is not obligated to accept the recommendation of the selection committee.
Right.
And can you explain specifically why or how the CRA would not accept
Sure.
the selection of its own selection committee?
Right. I understand.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know who was
Yeah.
asking the question.
Yeah,
So
got it.
I heard you
Sorry.
with your initial question. So it's basically every selection has to go to the board for formal approval, and in the terms of whatever is brought forward to the board always reserves the right to reject whatever staff brings forward. So it's kind of catch-all language. But generally, we know ahead of time if there is a problem where maybe the board doesn't feel comfortable with whatever selection is being made, and can usually rectify that ahead of time. So it's essentially language that basically says that even though we put together a selection committee for the ITN, the actual formal selection by the board is done through a positive vote, correct? Is that cleared up?
No, but we'll talk offline. We'll
Okay.
talk offline.
Okay.
I don't want to, if you guys put a selection committee in place,
Sure.
we would assume that they would know what the criteria is.
Yes.
And it just for clarification, let's just have that conversation offline.
Understood.
All right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything within the language that precludes a developer from coming in after the fact to buy the property from the proposed buyer and then request a variance to convert them into single-family homes? Or is this something where this will always remain commercial use?
There's a reverter clause will be in the agreement for it. So yeah, they're not meant to be converted into residential structures. Other questions for Paul? And again, we'll be around in case something pops in your mind between now and then. Okay, great. All right. Next, I do want to introduce our technical assistance partners, our resource partners. As you can see, we have a lot of folks that have tables up around. So I just want to go down the list, and if our resource partners could just stand up and just do a quick wave and a hi so that everybody knows who they are in the room. Now, these resource partners are there essentially to help you with the information that's required in the ITN. And what we have found through, because this ITN has been out for a little bit, is that perhaps it wasn't clear on exactly what the information that is needed in that ITN in order to have a formal proposal that would be accepted. So what the CRA and the Office of Small Business Minority Programs have tried to do is put together a list of essentially resource partners that can help compile that information together, whatever it may be, your business plan, financials, other information that could really help you submit the best proposal possible. So with that, I want to first start out with Bruce Lewis. Bruce, stand up. Bruce is great, long-time West Palm Beach resident, and also a hell of a tennis player, so he can help you with a lot of, sorry, Bruce, I had to throw it in there. You're a good tennis player. So if you have a question about any kind of legal matters or other information related to the neighborhood, Bruce is a great resource and can also help you with your tennis swing. So.
Can I say a word or two?
Absolutely, Bruce, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So I just want to make sure everybody understands what my function as a resource partner is. I'll make a distinction that I'm the only business owner, small minority business owner in the resource group. That said, most of the resource partners here today are partners of mine in a nonprofit effort. But I'm really going to serve as a kind of a navigator, a guidance, a tour guide through the ITN process and submittal process. I have a table out here. I've gone through 26 ITNs over a 27-year period of time, so that's every year, so you get to know the document pretty well. And then there's the minimum requirements that you all will have to meet, but I can tell you now, go beyond that. Stop by my table. I have a list of things I can do for you and help you with, and then more importantly, things that will keep me out of jail that I can't do for you. Your submittal process, so stop by and check. And I'm planning on doing a workshop, a virtual workshop, a Zoom, if I get enough people and do it all at one time, because I think everybody in this room has basically the same questions outside of the fact that you all have a unique business and your own concept. Okay, and so you're all small business owners. Your submittal is going to be your submittal. Sometimes it's difficult to talk to procurement. I'm not any of those things in the cone of silence. I'm a small business owner, so we can have an open discussion. There's just some ground rules that you have to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Next, I want to introduce, we have great folks from Florida Atlantic University, go Owls, the folks from SBDC. We have Cliff. Hey, Cliff. And is Carol with you?
No, Carol will be here on Saturday.
Okay, great.
So I'm representing the SBDC and FAU. And if I could just say a couple words. The SBDC for the last 45 years, and that's the Small Business Developmental Center. We're part of the SBA. So we have helped thousands of companies, small and medium-sized companies, start, grow, and succeed. We do offer confidential discussions, whether it be on Zoom or in person. So we're here to assist and to help the people in this area. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Cliff. Next, our local entrepreneurial folks that are in the back, they're actually going to host us next Thursday, February 10th. Darren Studstill with Cityside Suites. Darren, you want to just pop up, wave? Darren's an excellent neighborhood resource along with Miss Jody.
Josie,
Josie.
can I have 2 minutes? I don't want to, and I'll be real quick. First, I want to just welcome everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. My name is Darren Studstill. I'm here with my mother. We are a 50-year property owner over in the Northwest, so we're excited about this opportunity that we have in the Northwest. We're not going to talk about what we do. We adjust, we adapt, and overcome any situation. We go out and find people like the Bruces and Dr. Wins and whatever we need to make sure that it gets done. I encourage you to come to Northwest. We only have 4 spots, but it's a great time, a great opportunity to come to Northwest. There's plenty of other property in the Northwest, and we're excited to have you. But if anything that you need, you can come. We're on the corner of 3rd and Rosemary. You can stop by for a cup of coffee or a cup of coffees. But thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Darren. BBIC. Marlon and Pamela. Yay!
We're not going to say anything. I think what we've done historically in this community speaks for itself. So if you need any assistance as it relates to how to put together that package so it cash flows properly for the banks, come to us. I think we're the experts in that area. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. And then we have Sebron with the Tent Center. Tent Center with us?
Actually, it's Quentin, we have.
Oh, great, wonderful.
We want to introduce you. We want to introduce you.
Okay. That's all right, we'll jump to, oh, you coming in? Come in. We just introduced,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Veronica Hands from the Tent Center.
oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then last but not least is Thea Sullivan with Valley National Bank. A huge partner and then also a big help on the CRA Advisory Board, which handles most of the work that happens in the north end of the city. So Theas, I know you're a big asset, so tell us all about you.
And I pay him well. I'm Thea Sullivan, and I'd just like to introduce you to my team. Aquanetta Thomas is our Business Development Officer. Martine Pierre-Paul is the Regional Director of Community Lending for Florida and Alabama. And my commercial lender is Beth Morrison. And we are very excited at this opportunity to help any and everyone that is interested in purchasing one of the Styx products. We personally have created a loan product just for this particular deal and our minority and women-owned businesses, which is what we are charged with banking at Valley. My department is charged with banking more minority and women-owned businesses, and this came about due to the pandemic and the Paycheck Protection Program, where we realized that minority and women-owned businesses were lacking in something. So we're here to help. Use the resources that are here. Thank you.
Great, wonderful, thank you so much. So as you can see, we put together a pretty good package, or a pretty good group of folks that can really help, make your proposal the best. They're not here to be part of your proposal. That is all on you. So just keep that in mind. They are simply here to be that resource to help you put together the best proposal to be brought forward for consideration. Any questions about what we've talked about so far before I bring up our closer, Mr. Frank Hayden? Okay, wonderful. Frank, closing remarks and disclaimer.
Good evening. It is truly a pleasure to be in live company again. I'm so tired of those Zoom things, not realizing that I'm on, what is that when you can't talk? Mute, yes. My wife likes that function. I'm not real crazy about it. But listen, we're real excited about this project. This has been a dream of the CRAs of revitalizing the Northwest part of our city. Those of you who know about it know that was a thriving community at one point in time. And we want to do all that we can to recreate that environment again. And because we know the uniqueness of this, having you describe to us your type of business and putting together your business plan and then trying to figure out what the finances are and what all that you have to bring to the table, we decided to pull all of those experts together. Now, we are not supportive of any one in particular. That's why we have this variety for you to go after. And despite what Bruce says, don't be meeting personally with Bruce, because that's not the way we roll here at the city. But if you decide afterwards, and they've all got tables here, that you'll have an opportunity to go talk to them, to ask them for their advice on it. But the most important thing is, if you decide that you want some one-on-one personal help, that's entirely up to you. And you can make those arrangements with one of them to be able to go sit and talk to them. But I'm going to make it very clear. Because you met with Bruce and Bruce helped you put together your proposal, that is no guarantee that your solicitation will be the winner. It just means that he gave you his expertise in terms of what he thought would be the best to make that happen. We want this to be successful. We want those structures over there to be housed by women-owned, minority-owned businesses in that community. Because once again, if you know, we're almost finished with the Sunset Lounge and bringing that back. And just in front of there is Heart and Soul Park. And so we get this done as well. It's going to be a thriving community again. And we want you to be a part of that to make this a successful venture. So we've provided some food for you tonight. And spend some time with these resource experts that we produced for you this evening. We're going to have another event on Saturday. It is physically on the site of the Styx project. One of the structures will be open so that you'll have an opportunity to review it, walk through it, get an idea of what the layout is all going to be about. And then we'll finish up with our last event down at Cityside Suites, because we want to make sure that you have all the information you need to be able to submit to us a project that is going to make successful. And then lastly, just before I finish, what we're looking for is someone to purchase this property and to open their business there. We're not looking for someone to purchase this property and then sell it to someone else, so it's for housing. This is to open a business in that community and make that a thriving business for that community. This is not an opportunity to buy some property and then flip it. I heard about that term somewhere. I don't know what it means, but that's what I heard. So I'll entertain any questions that you might have at this time, and Chris can join me, and Gina as well, if you have any questions for them. And if not, I don't want to stand between you and that I can smell the food from over here myself. Or to give you an opportunity to meet with our resource specialist so that you can ask them any questions you might have. Any questions? All right. Thank you all very much. We truly appreciate it.